Android Sue time travels through. Chapter 2. Fan is a gruff, stout woman in her 50s with short, iron-gray hair. When Sue stepped out of the receiver into Fan's office at the Rutherford Hotel, Fan was there pacing back and forth. She threw up her hands and shouted, "This has got to be fixed immediately. All the digi-windows on the first floor have been blinking to black. The problem seems to be with the relay panel in the first subground floor. We tried bypassing it, and now the windows don't work at all." Sue already had all this information on the info tab Dee Dee gave her, but listened patiently while Fan let off some frustration, then said, "I'll need to crawl through one of the first subground floor conduits to get to the lower east relay panel to make the repair." "Then go do it and hurry!" shouted Fan as Sue walked out of the office. Sue would need to crawl through the narrow conduit to get to the relay panel. She was wearing her temperature-controlled jumpsuit and tool belt that had all the tools she would need to make any common repair, and her sensor wig, made of hundreds of tiny sensor beads, would give her an accurate reading of her surroundings. The first subground floor conduit is about 10 inches in diameter and made of metallic plastic. As she crawled through on all fours toward the relay panel, Sue could see the air in front of her begin to shimmer as if in intense heat. Wondering if there might also be a problem with the temperature control system, she kept crawling toward the relay panel, but the air didn't feel any warmer. Once on the other side of the shimmering air, she noticed the sounds and odors around her were different, and the relay panel was no longer ahead of her, only smooth conduit wall. But now this section of conduit seemed to be made out of genuine metal, not metallic plastic. A map of this conduit system had been given with the specs contained in the info tab downloaded into Sue's memory for this job. She thought she must have been given the wrong system map because as she moved forward she could see that what she was crawling through no longer matched the map she was given. She decided to go back the way she had come to talk to Fan about where the relay station was located. But even as she was crawling back the way she thought she had come, it all looked different. When she got to the entrance of the conduit, the access panel was firmly closed. She was sure she left it open when she crawled in. She easily opened it from the inside with her magnetic screwdriver, and the plate fell from the conduit opening to the floor with a metallic clang. But there should have been carpeting on the floor below the conduit entrance, and the metallic plastic doesn't clang. Sue thought the lighting system must have been having a problem too, because the hotel hallway outside the conduit was dark. She made her way to Fan's office, and when she entered the room, not only was it dark, but completely empty of the furnishings that were there just a half hour before. She was sure it was the right room. She glanced at the digi-window and could see it was not a digi-window at all, but just a square open hole to the outside. It was now night outside instead of mid-afternoon, and Sue could see many tall buildings with lighted windows and cars on the road. She had only seen images of cars and never a working model. Now there were many roads where there had been none before, and they were all filled with cars, some moving and some stopped along the sides of the roads. And all of these tall buildings, what is happening? Thought Sue. She was beginning to feel very uneasy at all the strangeness. Trying to make some sense of her surroundings, Sue leaned out of the window hole to look down the side of the building to the street below. It was the same building, all right, but there was scaffolding around the outside. She leaned out a little too far and toppled out of the window a short distance to the sidewalk below. Outside the hotel, a shabby little girl who had been playing by herself nearby saw something fall out of that old hotel that was being fixed up and went over to investigate. "Oh, someone threw away their pretty dolly." The girl Debbie picked Sue up and put her in her backpack. Until she could figure out what was going on, Sue thought it best to keep still and silent. Debbie took Sue home to a run-down old apartment building a few blocks away where she lived with her mother and older brother. As Debbie entered the second-floor apartment, her mother was there dozing in front of the TV. Her mother opened her bleary eyes and said in a sharp voice, "What are you doing out so late? Go to your room." "Don't worry, I won't let Mommy take you away," whispered Debbie as she gave her backpack a reassuring pat while hurrying to her room. Some sort of news broadcast was on the TV, and Sue heard, "Last winter, due to the destruction caused by Hurricane Katrina, natural gas prices are expected to lower significantly this winter season," as Debbie passed through the living room to her bedroom and shut the door. Along with Sue's technical training, she had also learned quite a lot about Earth's history and knew Hurricane Katrina was a natural disaster that happened in the year 2005. As she accessed her memory on that point in history, everything she had seen so far fit in with that period of time, the buildings, roads, and cars. But how could she have traveled back in time nearly 300 years? Once alone in her room, Debbie shut the door and plopped down on her unmade bed. She excitedly pulled her new treasure out of the backpack. She could see the doll was indeed beautiful and had a slim woman's body, not the chubby baby body of her other doll lying on the corner of the bed. Debbie at once stripped Sue of her jumpsuit and bead wig. Debbie was delighted to see Sue had long red hair under the ugly bead wig. Debbie didn't like Sue's jumpsuit, so she tossed it to the floor. She pulled the pink and green dress off her baby doll, wrapped it around Sue, and tied it with one of her hair ribbons. Debbie yawned and said, "I will name you Nancy." Then she sleepily changed into her pajamas, crawled into bed with Sue beside her, and fell asleep.